is presented by Botano. The game starts now. Here are your hosts, Brent Wallace, Jason York, and Bobby Ryan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Nice to see Jason York and Bobby Ryan as the wings, if you will, on this show. Get it? Turkey? Wings?
Oh, well done.
Did
you get any sleep last night, or?
I worked on that all afternoon. This
done.
show is always presented by Botano. Go to botano.ca and download the app. All right, gentlemen. Nice to see you. Yorkie, are you a Sunday or a Monday Thanksgiving turkey family day?
Ooh, usually Sunday, and Monday I go play golf, but the weather is shit, as people know, in Ottawa today, so no golf. But it's just me and Laurel. It's just me and my wife today. Our Matthew was home for the weekend. He's gone home. My other son is at school in Western, and my daughter is going over to her in-laws. So it's turkey, just me and my wife.
Wow.
Quiet night.
Nice.
Bob, we'll get to your American Thanksgiving next month and find out if you have 85 people from the golf club at your house or not.
No,
Yes.
0% chance. No. Nope.
Yeah, there was no doubt that you don't have people invited over. It was not even a question.
My neighbor, the neighbors think I'm a vampire, man.
What goes on at your place, Wally?
We went to the brother-in-laws, if you will, my sister's brother's family. There was like 16 people.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
A lot of people. Yeah, so I couldn't wait to leave.
I'm just kidding. So you hated it.
Watched the football game and then wanted out. Yeah, it was a terrible football game last night.
What's the guy's name from Planes, Trains? The character Steve Martin plays. That is you to a T. That is you.
Listen,
Just
I'm tired.
grumpy,
No, we're not. We're not starting
agitated.
Thanksgiving on this. Let's go. We're going into we have a season preview to get to, but first, there's plenty of Sens chatter. Lassi Thomson just claimed off waivers this afternoon, back by Ottawa. He'll go.
Yeah.
So because he's claimed back by the team that put him on waivers, he's allowed to be sent down to the AHL immediately. So he will be in Belleville, I'm assuming.
Okay. Happy
Yorkie?
Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You're going to Belleville, not Anaheim or San Diego. That's the farm team, right?
Yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's
Yeah,
a long.
it's all right.
That's a long flight for a new track jacket.
No disrespect to Belleville, by the way. I love a great golf course in Belleville, Wally. It's called Black Bear or Bear.
I've heard
Black Bear. It's fantastic.
I've heard about this golf course.
Very good.
I'm too busy trying to produce a show and don't have time to golf.
I got nothing.
No, it's okay.
I forgot about today's episode till an hour ago. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
Bob's
that.
got 6 memberships at 6 different courses.
Hey, I'm down the 4. I'm down the.
None
4.
of them I can afford. Gentlemen, okay, can we get to the Josh Norris stuff? Because I'm concerned.
All
So
right,
you
let's
guys,
go.
or Bobby wasn't concerned. You downplayed it all through camp.
Told you.
I'm officially engaging the panic button, Bobby.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I thought it was. Yeah, obviously it's fair at this point. I'm not the insider I should be. I probably should have texted the guy, but I don't like. I'll never text a player for info that's going to come out on our show. That will never be something I do. So I didn't have any insider information on it. Obviously, I just thought they were going to be abundantly cautious and let him kind of work his way in. And it doesn't sound like that's, I wasn't correct. So there's obviously a bigger issue for him here. And I think it's completely fair for, now it makes the Pinto thing seem a lot larger, right? For one, obviously, but just for me being a player that's dealt with injuries, like he's got to be just devastated right now that nothing's happening in the way he wants it to happen. So feel for the player, feel for the team, because I don't know where you fill the hole out of the stop gaps within the organization right now. That's all you got. So
yeah, the only caveat to all this, and I didn't think it was actually going to get to this. I thought just because he wasn't quite ready, he had on the non-contact jersey right away. I'm like, this is fishy. That's why I thought there was a little more to the case. But the fact he is practicing full right now, and it looks like there's not a lot of hesitation, at least in practice, that's a good thing. That's a good thing right now. So if you want to look at positives, I don't think he's that far off. I think it's just thinking of mentally getting comfortable. If you listen to what DJ said, he still hasn't been cleared totally by the docs for playing in a game. But I think it's going to be sooner than later. I don't think this is a long-term thing. Otherwise, he would be in a yellow jersey, wouldn't be doing contact. So
yeah,
there's that much.
He might as well be in a non-contact jersey. He's the fourth pairing with Max Gannett before Max.
They're just doing that because
he's not doing any He's just there.
He'd have the yellow jersey on though. When you go out for practice and you're not supposed to be touched, you get that jersey on.
Morning skates you don't, and morning skates you can wear the same colored jersey because you don't have the same skates.
Yeah. Listen, yeah. I just think, again, I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to go with my gut. My gut was right last time when I said something was going to happen here. I don't think it's that far along when he gets back into the lineup. Otherwise, they would have just put him on LTR and got Pinto signed right away. And that's not the case yet. But I think they're still trying to figure out, trade somebody else, whether it's Matthew Joseph's, his stock has to be have risen. He's had a pretty nice camp, so they've got that going for them. So I just think people need to take a breath. I just don't see it going that long. He's had the surgery, he's had it repaired. Little setback here. I think he's back sooner than later. Worst case, he goes on the short term here, and he's playing within whatever that period is.
November. All right. Well, just so we're clear, for people that don't know, LTIR is 24 days, minimum 10 games. So that basically takes them out of October if they go to LTIR.
Yeah.
The
not
one
ideal.
No, but I guess, but he still needs, and you two can tell me about this because you're the players, for someone who hasn't been in game action or however it is. Think of Brady Tkachuk, who came into camp and then needed a week. Yeah. He needs a minimum of a week to get ready to play in a game.
Not really.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a difference between Brady because he needed a week because he didn't go through to anything, right? He was skating solo. Right. That's a different acclimatization. That's a big word. Acclimate, whatever the word is, to acclimate. I'm gonna have a text message in about 2 minutes saying "nice job." It'll be Dzingel watch. But anyway, there's a difference.
He's free to come on, by the way. If he wants to, anytime he wants to join us, you just send
I'll
him
tell him. Yeah, I'll let him know.
I'm still laughing about that show.
Man, what a show. But there's a difference between what Brady was doing and what Josh has been around the guys. He's doing some drills. He's in the flow drills. He might not be taking contact, but I'm with Yorkie in the sense that if it was a long-term thing, we would have seen the LTIR to maximize the space to get Pinto signed and all that. I just don't think it's going to be 10 games. I think we're looking at a shorter period. Yeah, it's just my guess.
And also too, if you look at the reaction, the coaching staff thought he was coming back. It just, something's happened here where I'm just guessing where the players just, you know what, I just don't quite feel 100%, and he has the backing of the Dodgers. And again, if you don't, like, why would you? Like, it's not like the old days. I remember in training camp, I had a pulled groin. They're injecting me with cortisone to get me ready to play an exhibition game. Like, it's just, it's players now are much more aware, and I don't blame them because, hey, if it's early in the year, you're on a long-term contract. You got to do what's best for you as the player. You really do, because at the end of the day, it's your body, it's your life. And he's already done it twice, so I'm sure there's some hesitation there. But again, I don't see this as a long-term thing. He's had the surgery; it's been fixed. I think he just has to get over this last little hurdle, and then he's back playing.
I have the one question I have, and I need you guys to help me with this, and that's somehow this has gotten to be, this is a mental thing. So one, DJ Smith says he hasn't been cleared to play. Like, the doctors say he can't play. I wish I could find that quote off the top of my head. I wait every day on the word from the trainers if he's able to go. Obviously, he's practicing full speed and looks good out there. The issue is that that he hasn't been cleared to play in a game. I don't know whether it's by a trainer or by a doctor or whatever it is, but I don't believe this is just Josh Norris is, I'm scared to play and it's mental. I don't think that this is the case whatsoever. And I don't like how they have started to pin this on the mental side of it.
Listen, I think people, Bob, you know Josh a lot better than I do, but I don't believe that to be the case. And here's the thing: when you get cleared as a player, it's a conversation with the player and the medical staff. Everyone is getting in on the discussion here. How do you feel? How's the shoulder feel? Like, at the end of the day, nobody can get inside that shoulder and know how it feels except the player. So
yeah,
the idea that, okay, doctor says you're ready to go, you're now cleared. No, it's a conversation with the player, with the medical staff. And hey, listen, Bob, you know more than I do. He's got to be chomping at the bit right now. It's probably killing him. He's not playing, but you got to do what's right for your body, for you, because he's a young guy, man. I don't blame him.
Yeah. He's got plenty of years under the contract and the security means everything too, right? When you think about that, Yorkie, he's not coming back to try and earn another contract. He's good.
Yeah.
I would agree with Wally though. I'm not a big fan of this becoming a mental thing. There's something in the conversation that we're not privy to that is going on, and they're making a community decision. That's all it is.
Yes. So just so we're like yesterday, he was requested by the media to come out and speak. When you practice on the ice, you are obligated in the NHL media rules to be available to speak. He declined. Now, normally, and you guys know this, the media relations staff would say he's not available or whatever. They specifically, Mendez asked, are we able to say that is it your decision or his decision not to speak, basically? And they said it was Josh's decision, which means normally they protect the player. And they would say, well, we're not going to let him speak until he's ready to go. I'm surprised by this. This to me is another thing that there seems to be butting of heads, and I don't necessarily like it.
I would agree with that. Having been around BMO and CMO, Brian, those guys always protect the player. Well, they did for me, and
yes,
they're very, very good at their job in that regard. So that's a different kind of statement. That's but maybe they might have said to Josh, is this okay? And Josh would have said, hey, you can absolutely say I declined, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Anyway, it's just weird of how this is playing out, especially with arguably your number 2 center, right? And at the beginning of the season, this is not what is needed. I will say
it just sucks. It's a buzzkill for everybody. Just all the positivity with ownership, with the way the team's played, with how well exhibition's gone. But you got to understand, shit happens. It's unfortunate, but I think people just have to let this play out. And like I said, I don't see this. My guts tell me this isn't going to be a long-term thing, and I think sooner than later he's back playing, and then this is long forgotten.
Yorkie, I wish you were there when Dominic Hasek was there in 04, 05 or 05, 06.
Maybe Friday.
So he would be on the ice, and I remember this to this day. He would be out. He would be making saves like nobody's business, and he would be skating around. He'd have the big towel in his jersey and still be skating with his goalie stick in the air. Come game time, couldn't or wouldn't go, and people like, I don't know. And then we'd ask him like, are you going to play? He's like, that's where the joke comes from. Maybe Friday.
Wasn't the abductor?
Is the abductor. And so that was this kind of, no one knew what was happening with Dominic Hasek. He never played again. And now they're like,
well, they had a song back in the day with Hasek, and I think it was a Christmas song. I think Steve Warren and Jungle might have made it. Basically, it was a Christmas carol with a guy pretending to be Hasek singing the song, and then during the song, they'd come in with cat buzzwords like abductor, maybe Friday.
Come on,
it was gold. It was gold.
Incredible.
All right. Well,
it was Wally. It was Here Comes Dominic right down Palladium Way. Such a good song.
That is amazing.
We gotta play that before the.
There's copyright rules, probably.
There's no copyright rules.
I don't. Yes, we'll get sued. So Bobby, you brought up Shane Pinto earlier. Is this put the heat on now the Ottawa Senators and Pierre Dorion to get this done? So as of right now, before we even start the Shane Pinto, your 4 centers are Tim Stützle, Rourke Chartier, Ridley Gregg, and Mark Kastelik. Remember where we kept saying this team needs to get off to a great start in the first 20 games? I don't feel so confident.
Does producer Gavin have Glenn Fry on ready on hold? The heat is on here.
I don't know, Yorkie.
Yeah, I'm not as confident as you are. The heat's been on the Pinto situation for a minute, and we know that, but now it gets escalated because of this, right? I just don't get how you don't find $2.5 to $3 million to get him in. You just find a way and you deal with that's the first thing you do is you find a way to get the Pinto thing done, get him in, get him playing. And then you sort Josh out after and maybe you're handcuffed for a minute or two trying to get it sorted out, but you have LTIR there for Josh if you need it. There's other workarounds, but you cannot start. I mean, that's not a good center depth position to be in right now, starting the way it is. I like Ridley Greig. I actually thought he was phenomenal the other night. Again,
he was good, Bob. I like.
Yeah, God, he's a good player. He makes some great plays. He's a big part of where this team's going to be for many years, but it's a lot to ask him to go into a position that he's not ready for. But I do think he's going to handle the load for a little bit here. I think he can do it. I just don't know if he's an every day and every nighter yet, but he's going to be. So yes, this Pinto situation needs to get done.
Talk about the heat. How much heat is there for Tarasenko to get off to a good start?
Well, everybody now, right? But yeah, Tarasenko for sure.
Okay. So, all right. So based on that, Yorkie, here's the lines from yesterday's practice. And then they included Yuri Schmeckel until they sent him down, which I think is a paper move because Zach McEwen didn't skate. And I expect they may say Zach is injured and that can allow them, I think, to emergency recall Yuri Schmeckel. But yesterday, Vladimir Tarasenko is on a line with Rourke Chartier and Dominic Kubalik. I don't know whether that's the second line or third line, and I don't know whether Batherson and Ridley Greig and Matthew Joseph is the second line. You guys can tell me whatever you think. But I don't want to say Vladimir Tarasenko just signed a $5 million deal and finds himself on the third line for the Ottawa Senators.
I think I think the coaching staff's just trying to spread the wealth here, spread the depth out there. And to Bob's point, Ridley Greig has had a nice little training camp here. He looks confident with the puck. He's holding on to it. I like Chartier too. Like he looks like he's an older guy. He's been around 27 for a while. So I would have to think he's going to be very responsible defensively, probably be the high guy most of the times and take care of a little bit of the defensive duties on that line with Tarasenko and Kubalik, who are both of them are known as not really defensive players. So spread the wealth. And Joseph, hey, I like this too. It's no secret they've tried to move him. Why not put him with some good players? And he's had a nice camp too.
He did have a nice camp.
You have to reward guys for doing well at training camp. So I don't mind this at all. And if you want to win in the NHL, you got to have three lines. You got to have three lines. And I don't mind that fourth line either. People were raving about Parker Kelly last game. He had a strong game. I like Pastelik, and Schmeckel's been good.
You're just trying to poke the bear.
What do you mean?
Kelly? Yeah, people are all over Parker Kelly. I think he's played well.
He's fine. He is what he is. He works.
There was
hard,
never. I just didn't. Yeah, I didn't think he was going to be not in the opening night lineup. And I think Zach McEwen would obviously be there. And this is partially due to salary cap issues, obviously. But Yuri Schmeckel played well, no question. But there's just no room for him.
And Bob,
unless
you
they
can speak.
recall.
Bob, you can speak this to being the winger. With that line combination, you leave Drake Batherson on his right side and you move Tarasenko onto the right side where he prefers it. So you have players playing where they're comfortable, and it's start the season off too. I like that better. I don't mind those lines one bit.
I don't either. I think it's use the term spreading the wealth. It's a balanced lineup. That's what they're going for there. You can get some offense from all three lines. You have some defensively responsible players with some players that maybe not quite fit that mold. But I think if you look at that second and third line are equally good in different ways. I actually really like the Greig line with Joseph and Batherson. I think that could be a very, very good line for opening night. And then, you slide Pinto in with Tarasenko and whatever, if that's the way, if it plays out. So I think it's a great balanced lineup. I like the fourth line. Parker Kelly was great on Saturday. Every single time And I'm a Parker Kelly fan, but I heard his name every shift last game. I thought he was, and that's what you want. And none of them were negative. So that's what you want from your fourth line guy that seems to be the new Cody Ceci for some reason.
Yes. Well, that's and Jason Spezza. So wait a sec, if you're Vladimir Tarasenko, are you at all going, I'm playing on a line with Rourke Chartier? And no disrespect to Rourke Chartier, who's played 19 NHL games and has fought his way to continue to get in the NHL.
Yeah.
He's not a second line center that Vladimir Tarasenko or first line center is used to playing with.
Yeah, he's probably got a little bit of that, but he probably also has a little more knowledge of the Norris situation and wondering when he's going to be back. And I don't think he's pushing the panic button internally for game one by any means. Yeah.
Good players are supposed to make better guys around them better. And that's like people said that all last year about DeBrincat. I'm of the mind where if you're paying a guy a lot of money, it's not, well, he needs to play with a good player. Well, he's got a pretty good player on the other wing and Kubalik, who's got some experience, and Chartrier's a pro, like, albeit he's been in the minors. Like, he knows how to play the game. I've been watching him in preseason. He's very smart. He's very aware. And this is just a starting point to these lines. Good coaches will watch how guys are playing in the first 5 minutes of the game, and you know what guys are going and which guys aren't, and then you make adjustments as the game goes along and you switch it up. So it's just a starting point. I would, these lines will change a lot. I would be shocked if these lines were kept together for long periods of time, but it's a good starting point, and you make adjustments as you see which guys are going and which aren't.
Bob, you're a top two line guy and a guy. Are you a big fan of the constant line shuffling?
No, but I think that's the league now, because the league's built more on pairs than lines when I started. You get your pairs and you find the complement to the pairs, and that takes a little more guys coming in and out of that third position. So I always liked it, consistency, and I always liked knowing who I was playing with every night. I felt unsettled, but that's not the case anymore. Guys are coming in with different mindsets now than, you know what I mean, Yorkie? Like, when we played, you had everything set and you knew what was going on, but you know, you would have changes if you were down in a game or up in a game and guys were sparking other guys. But the league's a lot more fluid. Guys could play from the fourth line up now, right? Think about the meat sauces on the fourth line when we played, when I started, Yorkie, and when you're like, that guy's not going to go spark anybody.
Well, I used to, there's certain guys that used to just set the stick to auto dump in, and as soon as I get to the red line, that puck's going deep. Guys on the fourth line now aren't afraid to make zone entries. They're not afraid to attack the middle of the ice and kick it out. Like, it's a possession game now. So the league's totally different now. So well, like I said, it's a starting point, these lines, and I don't see Tarasenko as a guy. He's smart. He knows Norris is in the lineup, and you start this way, and we'll see what happens. It's as long as the goal scorers are on the power play, that's really
Yorkie.
That's really all that matters.
The one goal scorer in the name of Vladimir Tarasenko isn't on the first power play unit. Not that it's a surprise to us. Would it be a surprise to him? Like, he's coming here to get a contract next year. That's his whole goal, is to get more money next year. If we look at it and go, you're on a third line at the moment and you're on a second power play unit, good luck with your $5 million next year.
I wouldn't say he's on the second line right now. The third line, it's to me, it's three lines deep right now. There is a first line, but to me, there's no real second line. I think there's no time for shenanigans to start this year. This coaching staff is going to play the players that are going to help them win. And I don't think it matters who. I really don't, because jobs are on the line. Like, if you're not playing right away, I don't think there's going to be anything where kid gloves for anybody.
No,
like,
they can't.
You can't. Like, no. You can if you have some security, but this coaching staff has to win. Like, there's a lot of heat right now, and they want to impress, and I think they will win, even with this depleted lineup. Okay. I think the goaltending's that good, and I think the defense is that good, and I think now Stützle, I think he's going to explode out of the gates, fellas. Like, he looks even better this year.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with everything you just said on that one. I think he's ready to go.
Bobby, you surprised me on the weekend. You were watching the game, had a couple of comments.
Yeah.
One of them
surprised you by doing a little bit of my job, eh?
I saw that.
I was surprised by your complimentary of Eric Brannstrom's game.
Yeah.
Who I think has been very good in this camp, by the way. I think he's looked very, very good. So give me your thoughts on his play.
I thought he lugged the puck well. I thought he moved the puck and lugged the puck well. He got up ice, obviously made a great play on the goal with Kubalik there, and then followed it up like a shift or two later with another great cut in the 360 to net. I think he's just finding out what works for him night in, night out. And that's, you forget he's still a 24-year-old defenseman with a good amount of experience, but he's still learning exactly what he's going to be. And I think he's, I like the way he's getting up the ice. I just like the way he's seeing the game. I think he's slowed things down for himself. I don't know about you, Yorkie, but I always said it was around the 100 to 120 game mark where, for me, the game really started to slow down and things opened up. And I think that would probably be a higher number for young defensemen than that. I feel
like Meth said 300 games.
Yeah. Did he really? Yeah. I mean, it's, you need a lot of reps to be able to get to where you want to be. And I just thought he's done an incredible job the last couple of nights and looks very, very calm, poised, and assured of himself right now, which is great. It's a great position for the Ottawa Senators.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I agree. I really liked his camp. And the best thing that happened last year for Eric Brannstrom was all those guys getting hurt late in the season, because he got to log some big minutes in some grindy games down the stretch. Some of those games, I'm not going to say the word meaningful games, but I just did. So he played in a lot of those games and he played big minutes. And you remember, we'd always talk about this. Well, these are the types of games where guys learn how to play in the league, and it's the intensity is ramped up. So he played in those games. He played big minutes because of the injuries. So you said it right there, Bob. I agree. Game now looks a little slower for him. He's holding on to the puck. Defensively, this is the thing. When you're that small, you have to be perfect in your own zone. It's so tough because you're giving up so much size. Like the one goal, for example, not his fault. The goal on the rush where there was a turnover at the blue line. I think it was Kastelic turned it over.
Yeah.
Brannstrom, because of his size, got a little stick, little body. You just don't cover as much ice. And so you got to be perfect. You got to be perfect with body position, with skating guys, taking away their time and space. And that's always going to be the issue with him. But offensively, I still think he's miscast with this team. I still think he can run a power play. I think he's the type of guy that thrives the more minutes he plays. But hey, he's a nice piece to have on your team if you're the Senators. He's a nice security piece. If something with your top four goes wrong, one of the guys gets hurt, he can jump into that role. But I tell you, man, it is tough when you're a puck moving guy to play in the bottom pairing and play limited minutes. Like you gotta get into the rhythm of the game. Like that's why he's playing so right now. He's playing over 20 minutes a night. He's involved. He's moving his feet. And he looks great. Let's see how he does with limited minutes. If he can do that, because it's a lot tougher than people think to play limited minutes as a defenseman and be a puck moving guy, because you don't get into the flow of the game. It's very difficult. That's why usually you have like big meats playing back there in the 5 and 6 role, because they're like, hey, I don't really have to skate and move the puck. I'm just up the boards. I'm going to cross check a few guys. I'm going to fight now and then. So but we'll see. You can't argue with the camp he's had. As Bob said, he's done everything asked. Looks confident, and here we go. Let's see how he does.
Yeah. Okay. Before we get on to we'll call them our picks for the season. Josh Bailey was released from his PTO. Are either of you surprised? I will say, hey, like he did what he had to do. He came in, played 6 games, had 6 points, 5 assists. That were team tied for the team lead. I thought he looked pretty good. It's funny in my timeline when I said that Josh Norris was released from his PTO. One guy was like, "That's okay. He couldn't keep up. He was terrible. I'm glad." And the other guy was like, "I thought he played really good. He's really smart, really good positionally." So, you guys tell me, are you surprised either way of Josh Bailey not being in this roster?
I don't think surprised would be the word for what I for my reaction. I thought he played well enough to be this team's 13th forward that you could put in different spots in a pinch, but maybe not. And I thought the amount of games he's played and the amount of time he's been around and the familiarity with the coaching staff that might have played a factor in him staying and understanding he's this year's Derek Brassard. But at the same time, there's not a lot of room. You got guys that are just about NHL ready that can do the same thing he's doing, and it's one less contract that you have. So I'm not surprised.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you bring guys into camp, like I'm going to butcher his name again, Schmelik there, however you pronounce it. Schmeckel had a really good camp. And I think he's a guy, number one, that pushed him out, and Chartre pushed him out as well. And it helps that Chartre is more of a noted defensive player that's going to play grindy, and he's a center. And I thought he played really well. Nice under the radar minutes. Those, because they could have came to camp and not had good camps, and all of a sudden you're going to sign Bailey. So those two guys pushed him out, they had good camps. That's what happened, and Bailey did too. But they've got enough offense. Yeah, he got points and he did that, but they don't need another guy on the power play. They don't need a guy that can slow the pace down and make plays. They've got those guys. They need grindy foot soldiers that play with pace and put pressure on other teams' D. That's what you want in your bottom six, and that's not Josh Bailey. But hey, I agree. He had a good camp. To me, he looked fine. He's just not the right player for what they need.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Final question I have is, will we see Josh Norris on day in Carolina on Wednesday in the lineup? And because it's a road game, my first inclination, there's no chance they play him on the road to start. Bobby, we'll start with you.
No. No. Quite frankly, it's like I know it's such a big story and it's such a big part of the team, but it's like, gosh, I just want to see him get back in the lineup so we can stop talking about it and talk about the positive side of things. But no, I don't think he starts on the road. I don't think he starts in the first 4 or 5 games.
Ooh. Yeah, definitely doesn't play in Carolina. Was just playing D like a day ago in practice, so I don't think he's going to be playing in Carolina. I think he could play on the weekend. I think potentially on the weekend.
Wow. Okay. We're 90 minutes away, by the way, from them having to submit their final roster. It's 5 p.m. Eastern today, so we'll find out what they do with Josh Norris, but I'm assuming they don't put him on LTIR just yet because of Pinto not being signed. All right. Time for our season preview. But first, before we get to that, our show, as always, proudly presented by Pitano, where Bobby placed all his NFL bets, including on the great San Francisco 49ers, which pains me to say being a Cowboy fan. Go to Pitano and download the award-winning app. Try same game parlays, live bet builder, all that stuff, including lots of stuff now coming up with the NHL. Of course, you can still have time to get your picks in for Stanley Cup winner and all that stuff. And we will see who we pick as the Stanley Cup winner by the end of this show. And also by our good friends at BEI. Bonisher Excavating, now into the home building department. Bonisher Homes, out in the Wren subdivision, which is about an hour west of Ottawa. All kinds of floor plans to choose from, beautifully located. It's a really nice community if you ever have a chance to go out and check it. BonisherHomes.com. Houses starting around $500,000, and they do a really good job. Actually, really quality builder. So, boys, are you ready to see who we've picked to finish the year? And neither of you have seen your picks, so this should be entertaining.
I'm pumped.
I'm pumped. There might be some
I sat down and
surprises.
did this whole thing. I was pumped.
You know what?
Look, I mean, I sent you a great pick. Look at this.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Is that handwritten? Is that handwritten, Bob?
Yes.
Handwritten. Yeah.
But not by you.
Do you have the?
I have the world's nicest handwriting.
Do you have the big? You have the big jar of ink and the feathered pen in the office in there?
No, I'm a lefty, so I got to use the ones that don't. Being a lefty is a nightmare, man. So I got to use the quick dries.
You're a lefty. I don't think I ever knew that.
Yeah, southpaw.
Wow. Okay. Yes, Yorkie.
That's the way it's supposed to work, though. If you're a southpaw, you're supposed to shoot right-handed. That's why your hands are so good. That's why my hands suck. I can't stick handle because I'm just a shooter because it's my strong hands on the bottom of the stick.
True.
And
Yeah.
my son tried to switch to right-handed when he was about 6 or 7.
No dice.
Couldn't get it. Couldn't figure it out. No.
I'm playing pickup hockey now Tuesday. My God, the puck is like a hot potato on my stick. It's just
What?
I play tomorrow. I'm skating with Ryan Smith, Andy Sutton. We got a big group tomorrow, I think. Yeah.
Captain Canada.
Yeah.
Ryan
Smitty's
Smith.
just around the corner too. Yeah, we got a good group.
My
yeah,
skate's a little different. I'm like with all retired guys that most of them never played hockey.
Oh yeah. No, we got a good pickup game here.
Yeah. All right.
Let's get, where are we starting with this, Wally?
So Yorkie's going to start with his picks in the Pacific Division.
Okay. We
So-
got it up on the board here.
So the Pacific Division, here's how it finished last year with Vegas, then Edmonton, LA, Seattle. Seattle, that big surprise, if you will. All right. So Yorkie, this is your Pacific Division standings for this year.
Yes,
Take us
sir.
through.
Yeah, I like Edmonton. I love what they did in the playoffs last year. They very easily could have beat Vegas. I think they're going to be hungry, and I'm not betting against Connor McDavid and Draisaitl. I think they're ready to take the next step. I still think Vegas is, they're good enough. They're experienced. They're going to be there. I kind of struggled with Seattle, but man, the way they play, they play like every guy on that team plays like his job and his life depends on it. They play so hard every night. Can they keep that up? I think they can. So I have them. Calgary, new coach. They better play well because they ran Daryl Sutter out of town. So it's on the players right now. So I like Calgary to be a wild card. Vancouver, the LA people might be a little surprised they don't have them in. Very well could have put them in, but I just think they're going to be close, but no cigar. I think San Jose is going to be awful, and I think Anaheim is so young. They're going to take their lumps again this year.
Okay. We now go to Bobby's 8.
There we go. Okay. Our first two are the same. I like Edmonton to win it outright because Vegas, they'll have a little hangover, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little slow out of the gates. We really differed on LA.
Yeah.
I like LA. I like that team, man. They got some offense with some young guys there. And they just play. Andrzej Kopitar's always got them running the right way. They just play a clean game. I put Seattle as the wild card for the exact reasons that you mentioned, Yorkie. And then I guess we don't even have to talk about 7, 6, 7, and 8. But
No.
Calgary, I just think kind of finds a way to miss this year. It's been too much turmoil the last little while, eh? Like
Well, that's the thing, right? So what are the Calgary Flames, and what can they be good with a new coach and a new GM and all that, or is it flawed?
It's just not enough for me.
Because okay, so here are my 8 picks.
What about the LA trade though? Do you guys like the LA trade? Like they got rid of some pretty good.
Yeah,
young
Pierre-Luc
guys.
Dubois. I don't like it.
I don't like Dubois. I just think a little cancerous.
Yeah, you know what though? I'm thinking he got to a place where people aren't going to bother him at all. He's off the radar now, and he can be behind Kopitar and just play.
Yeah,
and Kopi will sit him down and say, "Shut up."
I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
I think he's gonna be good.
He was in Columbus, and he didn't want to play there, and then he didn't want to play. It didn't seem like he cared at all about being in Winnipeg. I just don't like his style of play.
Wally,
he's got a big body. He doesn't use it. So we have our last two.
My test.
Well, our last two are different. So I picked Anaheim to finish ahead of San Jose. Calgary is interesting to me. I almost put them ahead of Seattle because they're so good down the middle. Like Nazem Kadri is your third line center.
Yeah.
And if Jacob Markstrom can be anywhere good, they stand it. Like that's a pretty good D. I'm not surprised if Calgary doesn't finish ahead of Seattle.
Love their D. They got a great back end.
They do. Yeah.
And I was going to pick Vegas over Edmonton only because I can't get behind Edmonton's D. Any of the way they play D. I just right down to Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell. I just don't like their goaltending. Anyway, that's just me.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the hangover because that's a big part, right? Yeah. Although they seem to be very quiet this summer in their partying ways.
Yeah. Yeah,
maybe because they party all year being on the strip in
Guys.
Vegas.
It's,
Maybe they're just used to it.
Boys, this is nothing new.
Yeah.
Old. That's
Yeah.
an old roster. That's an old roster. They were exhausted after
See-
that win. Most of those
Yeah.
guys needed some sleep. Like
Yeah.
Maybe.
No,
That's
I
why I don't
agree.
like LA's roster. I find they're just older now.
too
They're
old.
just
Yeah.
slow. And I can't cheer for Cam Talbot. Okay. I refuse.
Fair enough.
I'm bitter over last year. All
All
right.
It's not his fault. Like, what are you blaming him for?
Well, because he came in and it wasn't very good.
Yeah, but shouldn't have traded for him.
Okay, but that's a whole other story. Okay, we're going into the Central.
I'm interested in this one, Yorkie. I want
right?
to see what you did here.
So this is where it's all there's some change. And I know Bobby's excited for one particular team, but is Colorado gonna how are they gonna respond? So Bob, you can start the
Okay.
Central Division choices.
Let's go.
I like it. All right. Before it gets up there's my list. And there's no rhyme or reason to the last, 5 through 8, I think could change. I don't know. I kind of like Chicago to maybe slide in, but not be a wild card team. I absolutely love Dallas. I love the way they're built. Think Jason Robertson's unbelievable. The goaltender's great. I like a lot about their team. Minnesota, I think this is the year they take a step. I think that when I say take a step, I don't know that they win around in playoffs, but I think that they take a very, very big step in the offense. I think Kaprizov has his best year in the NHL. I only slid Colorado down 1 because you can't take them too far down. They're just too good in the way they're built. So that's my top 3, and Winnipeg is a wild card for me. They are and they just signed Hellebuyck and Scheifele today to 8.5 each, identical contracts. So maybe there's a little bit of a bounce back in Winnipeg.
So how did you put Chicago at 5? Help me.
Because Arizona, St. Louis, and Nashville suck. No, all those teams. I mean, 5 through 8 could go anywhere except for probably 8. St. Louis, you know what? And I had it down, and I meant to do arrows on St. Louis. Like, it should be Arizona and Nashville probably in the 7 seed, Chicago in 6, and St. Louis in 5. More likely, but I had fun doing this division, so I kind of wanted to take some flyers and change things up a little bit. And I think Connor Bedard and they got some offense surrounding him. They're going to be all right.
I think there's and maybe I'm wrong. I don't see him scoring 90 points. Do you know how hard that is?
No, I think he could be an 80-point guy, 75.
Yeah, it's possible depending on how well Taylor Hall plays, I guess.
True.
Who's his other winger?
Nick Foligno? I don't know.
No.
I'm trying to name guys.
I can't think off the top of my head. All right, here's my 8. And I agree with Bobby. Dallas, I think Matt Duchene may have a turnaround kind of bounce back.
Stop it.
I think
I could see that.
they just had to blow up Nashville in a way, right? And so they're starting over, and I don't know if they know who they are in the moment, but I have a tough time thinking Colorado's going to step that far back. So Winnipeg, I moved up even before today because I think the Blake Wheeler move was huge for this team. They needed to move some stuff out of that locker room, and especially, and I think Dubois was another one. I think with the change and probably a reinvigorated room, that group can finally start to move. And then Minnesota is interesting to me. It's a good team. They're just bland, Bobby.
Yeah.
And then Nashville. I think Arizona is actually going to surprise people.
I don't disagree with that. They could be good.
And St. Louis is in a rebuild. They just don't know it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's true. I don't know what they are, but anyway, and I just think Chicago is going to still struggle.
Yeah. All right. This was a wide open division for me, more so than some of the other ones. Yeah.
It's just an average division. Like they're all the same. Anywhere from 3 to 8.
I agree.
See, and someone's going to be a surprise, right? Like that's why I think Arizona has got. I really like that Logan Cooley kid. I think they've really got some pieces there. Anyway, Yorkie, here's your 8.
Well, yeah, I think this division is exciting. Like, you got 3 of the best teams in the NHL. I had a tough time with this: Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota. And I don't know, Kaprizov. You said Minnesota's blah. Like that guy's a pretty exciting player. Like
one player. Tough. I'm not picking a team on one player unless it's Connor McDavid.
I don't know. He's the real deal. I like Minnesota, but I just look at Colorado. Jared Bednar still, to me, is one of the best coaches in the league. They've got Nate McKinnon. They got the best defenseman in hockey. I'm taking Colorado for those reasons. Dallas. Yep. I agree with Bob. They're going to take another step. I think all three of those teams are going to be over 100 points. They're the class of division. I did take Nashville, and the reason
because you had a good weekend last weekend. That's why.
Well, that might have had something to do with
it. Yeah.
But hey, he's one of the best goalies in the NHL. Show me a good goalie, I'll show you a good team. He's one of the best, and I think Andrew Burnett is going to come in there and invigorate that team and get them into the playoffs. I think they're a wild card team. Just watching Winnipeg play Ottawa, man, there's something with that team I don't like. Like you look at Scheifele, and I've always liked him as a player, and I know this was just exhibition, but how much better did Tim Stützle compare when you compared him to Scheifele in that game? I'm like, holy cow, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like as far as talent goes. So I'm not.
Wait a sec. I didn't think we cared about the exhibition. Now we do.
I don't, but I'm like, man, like one player is a superstar and one player. Anyhow, I know it's only exhibition. I don't have Winnipeg in, even though I love Bonus as a coach. Arizona, man, what a mess there with that rink. Tournier's a good coach, and he's going to squeeze everything he can out of that group. But I don't see them being a playoff team. St. Louis, Wally, I agree, they're rebuilding, and Chicago is going to take their lumps. I just think it's Bedard there is going to do well. I think he gets 35, but I think they finish last.
Okay, so I just want to read you why I don't like Minnesota, and it's their blue line. They lose Matt Dumba, right? So.
Yeah, they're blue.
Jonas Brodin, Brock Faber, Jacob Middleton, Alex Goligoski, John Merrill, and Kalen Addison.
Yeah,
it's just not good enough for me.
It's not deep. It's not a deep line. Yeah,
they're not flashy. They just move the puck.
That's the problem with Minnesota. Trying to decide what kind of team they are. They just go and do their work.
They play hard.
Yep.
They play hard, and they make it hard on the other team's D. And they're fast.
Yeah. All right. Moving to the Metropolitan Division. So this is to me, this is it's an interesting one. I think the Atlantic is obviously more interesting, but where does Pittsburgh? What happens with them and the Rangers? I don't know what the Rangers are at the moment, but they're good. And the Islanders are the Minnesotas and Seattles of the division. They just play hard hockey, and they usually find a way to get in. So I believe I'm up first in the Metro Division. So I went with New Jersey, Carolina. Although, just so we're clear, I think Carolina in the playoffs will be better than New Jersey. I just think in the regular season, New Jersey will have more success. The Rangers, because they just have a lot of talent. At some point, don't they have to figure it out? Pittsburgh, I'm into the Erik Karlsson, and a rejuvenated Sidney Crosby might turn that ship around. The Islanders, I still pick them to make the playoffs. Washington, Philly, and Columbus, because Columbus is a proverbial mess, and I just think Philly's going to be a little bit less messier.
Fair enough. Fair enough at the 7 and 8 seed.
I think Yorkie.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like their. Yeah, I tend to agree with a lot of that.
Like the Islanders have a really Ilya Sorokin is really, really good.
Yeah,
but is their team going to be better? They do have a really good roster. So I'm just not sure. It could be by points, right? They could be 1 or 2 points separating Pittsburgh and the Islanders.
Yeah.
Yorkie, it's up to you next.
We're pretty similar, Wally.
I know.
The only difference was I really like Carolina this year. I think they're going to take another big step, and they're going to learn how to score in the playoffs. I had Carolina at 1. I think Rod Brindamore, arguably the best coach in the game, and their blue line is sick. Like, that is the best blue line in the NHL right now. Look at those guys. There's not a weak guy back there. Jersey's going to be good in the regular season. Same with the Rangers. They've got regular season specialists on that team. DJ Zebad, the bread man. Like, those guys know how to get it done on the power play. Go off to the bar after the red carpet. It's all good. Regular season specialists. Pittsburgh, I had them in 4. I just don't see how they miss with all that talent. Crosby's going to be fired up. I think Carlson's going to have another good year. So they're going to be my wild card team. And I struggled with the Islanders because I'm with you guys. They play hard. I had them originally in, but I flopped them out. Washington, I think they miss. Philly and Columbus, pick your poison. Yeah, I just put Columbus last because I think they're a lazy hockey team. Like I watched them play last year, man. They cheat the game. They cheat the game better than any team I see in the league. Hopefully they fix that because man, they were bad last year.
Yeah.
And Bob.
All right. So my top 3 are all of our top 3s are the same. Obviously, I just moved to New Jersey. New Jersey looks dangerous. Carolina, how many years in a row do people have to say I'm in on Carolina? This is their year. I'm so sick of doing that. 1 and 2, I think could go either way. I really do. Where did I put? I think they could. I don't know. I like New Jersey. Pittsburgh, I think slides in. They're veterans. They know that they're going to have to go through their own division no matter what. So I don't think they're worried about sliding in the top 2 or 3. They're going to make a wild card spot. Our bottom 3s were all the same. I just think Philadelphia is a little more messy than Columbus, although you are right, Yorkie. Columbus cheats the game better than any team I've ever seen. Washington's just, Washington's just on the Alex Ovechkin goal scoring thing now.
Yes.
That's kind of what they've become. I struggled with the Islanders here. I just think they're getting a little older and slower every year. I know they play a tight system. I don't love them. So I kept them out of the playoffs. The only team making that wild card spot would be Pittsburgh for me.
Okay, but just their top 6 is Barzal, Bo Horvat, Simon Holmstrom, Pierre Engvall, Brock Nelson, Kyle Palmieri, Anders Lee, John Gabriel Pajot, Oliver Wahlstrom's their 3rd line. And of course they have that 4th line that never seems to age with Matt Martin, Casey Cizikas, Cal Clutterbuck. I think they have a really good team.
Grindy.
I think they missed the window. Remember,
maybe you might be right. Maybe I'm thinking it's the team from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they do get in and Pittsburgh misses? Like who's getting shit canned in Pittsburgh? Like
nobody. Everybody loves everybody now.
You can't miss the playoffs if you're Pittsburgh with the moves you've made.
No,
you can't. It's non-negotiable.
Maybe. All right, and finally, the Atlantic. And our resident smartest man in hockey gets to kick things off. But there's a lot of change coming with the Atlantic, I think. This is the interesting one, right? Boston with all the change and Andrei Vasilevsky in Tampa. What happens? Buffalo, they just signed Rasmus Dahlin to a monster deal. Are they ready to take a step? So, Yorkie, here you go.
Yeah, there we go. And so I had Boston out originally. Man, they've had so much change, but I ended up putting them back in, and I took Florida out. This was tough, but Toronto, we all know Toronto in the regular season is fantastic. They got all that talent.
They're the Rangers.
Whatever you call it. Well, it's the same thing. There is something like when you play in Toronto, you are routinely told how good you are, how great you are. And then you get to the playoffs and the pressure changes. But that's a whole other story. Regular season, they're finishing first.
And that's just by the media, Yorkie.
I know. But I've got no doubt. I don't see them taking a step back. I think they have a great regular season. Tampa, I know Vasilevsky's out, but I just think that lineup's still really dangerous. And I have Ottawa. Not as a wild card, but finishing 3rd in the division. The defense, the goaltending, Brady Tkachuk leading the way. I think he's going to drag this team into a 3rd position in the division, and Timmy Stützle. Even if Norris doesn't start the season, I think Stützle is just going to, like we said earlier, I think he's going to have rockets on his skates to start the season off. So I got Ottawa in the 3 spot. I think Florida misses that. That playoff took a lot out of a lot of those guys, and a lot of things went right for that team in the playoffs. They got outplayed many nights, and Bobrovsky stole a lot of games. I think that team's not as good as they showed in the playoffs, so I think they miss. Talk about cheating the game. I think Buffalo cheats the game pretty good too. They're always cheating for offense. I know they got a lot of it. I know people are hot on Buffalo, but I don't like them defensively. Detroit's rebuilding, and so is Montreal. Montreal's in for another long season and a high draft pick.
I believe, Bobby, you're next. Yeah.
Okay, so again, I don't even need to say much. I think Toronto's coming away with the division. I think they
I don't know how you get Boston at 2. I can't understand this.
I love their defense. I love
Goalies
their
are good.
goaltending. Goalies are good. And Monty's a hell of a coach. They're just a good team. I thought differently about this because of the Vasilevsky thing. If Vasilevsky's not playing, then I got Boston as a wild card team. But 10 weeks without him is a long time. So that puts them behind the 8 ball in the division. But when you look at 5, 6, 7, and 8, looks like Yorkie and I see eye to eye almost. Yeah, down to the exact team order the rest of the way. The top 4 and the bottom 4, to me, there's just a major separation between where the organizations are. And Florida obviously made the run, but I would agree with what Yorkie said. They got away with a lot in the run. So Ottawa, to me, takes the 3rd place. Tampa slides into the wild card 1. So you get Toronto, Tampa again in round 1 of the playoffs. And
With Vasilevsky.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, Boston's just a steady Eddie team. They're going to find a way to be in that 2nd place. I had Ottawa at 2 at one point. I took them down 1, but I had Ottawa at 2.
The Boston's middle of the ice at the moment is
I don't care.
How can you win?
Hey, yeah, Monty's a hell of a coach. I'm with Bob on that one. That guy, his attention to detail. I went to one of his seminars once when he talked about the little things, and that's what people don't understand about winning in the NHL. Coaches that demand the little things of their players squeak out those 1-goal games. And I don't know. I'm with you on that, Bob. I love Monty as a coach.
Yeah, I think he gets them prepared every night, and they're going to be just fine.
That may be, but he's not playing on the ice. And they don't have much that is, as far as I'm concerned, down the middle of the ice. In fact, Gavin, throw out my list. I would have taken Boston out of the playoffs. Oh, in fact, I did.
Detroit, are you on crack?
So you haven't
that is worse than Boston being 2nd, having Detroit in 4th.
No, I think Boston to me will take the dip. I think that Tampa, I don't even know why. I wanted Ottawa in 2nd, but because of the Pinto and Norris situation, I don't think they can be there.
Explain yourself on Detroit.
I think Detroit's a lot better than you think they are. And that's why I believe that their blue line and their Ville Husso's goaltender wasn't so bad. I think they might be all right. I just think there's a surprise coming. That's why they're there. At some point, the Boston Bruins are going to miss the playoffs. And I think it could very well be this year with what they have on the ice at the moment.
You got Detroit ahead of the Sabres.
Well, like you said, the Sabres cheat the game. They have, if their only reason is they're counting on Devin Levi as a rookie to lead that team. Yeah. I just don't see that happening. I hope he has a great year.
They'll still cheat the game and beat Detroit, though.
They have a good blue line.
Win that game.
Like Owen Power, Rasmus Dahlin, they have a good blue line. But I don't think it's good enough. I'm concerned about perhaps their goaltending. That's why. And Florida's a fraud to me.
So you have Detroit. Is Detroit a wild card?
No, Detroit's not in.
Yeah, both his wild cards were in Atlanta, Metro, which I could very well see. I could agree with you on Wally. That I wouldn't be surprised if your picks on the wild cards were more accurate.
Yeah, I just the Atlantic is interesting to me because Ottawa, Detroit, Boston, Buffalo could all flip any which way to me.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah,
you could see Ottawa out. You could see Ottawa out, Wally.
Well, yeah. Well, they've lost the playoffs. It lost in 6 straight years. They haven't made the playoffs. Like, there's nothing guaranteeing them a playoff spot.
Yeah.
They used 7 goalies last year.
That's why they missed. That's why they missed.
I know. No, so nobody knows what's going to happen in the year. If they stay the way they could be 2nd if they played as well as they can. But they've got to be healthy.
You just made the case why they're going to make the playoffs. They used 7 goalies last year. This year they've got 2.
They only wanted to use 2 last year too, York.
Well,
That
of
was the
course,
start.
That would have been ideal.
If they get injured, of course they're going to be in trouble. But
Well, exactly. You don't. But something is going to happen. That's the point.
okay, you're predicting chaos.
There's always chaos.
There is always a chaos.
There's always chaos.
something.
That's the problem with the league being so robotic and equal. I can't even think of the word at the moment. If anything happens to a particular team, you can find yourself out quick.
Parity.
That's right. Gary Bettman's favorite word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, did anybody pick the Seattle Kraken to be as good as they were last year? No.
No, didn't see it.
Exactly. All right. So we're moving on. We got to pick our Stanley Cup winner. This will probably upset everybody. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. Yorkie, you've picked Carolina, and we have picked Dallas to win the Stanley Cup. Although Bobby's the worst of them all because he took the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Cup final.
Love it.
I know.
Now we all hate you.
I know. I didn't want to do it, but I was doing the roadmap of that, and I just, man, I was thinking about, Toronto. If it lines up the way I think it lines up, and Toronto knocks out Tampa and Ottawa upsets Boston, you got an Ottawa-Toronto series, and I might be on TV at every game in that one. I would absolutely love to see that series, but Toronto's got the best offense. And they're going to find a way. They've made a big jump last year, finally winning a round. I think that mental hurdle is out of the way, and I think that they realize that they're a better team than where they've been. I think they're going to be good, but to me, Dallas is the team to beat this year, and I think they come home with the cup.
Yorkie?
Yeah, I'm gonna die on that Carolina Hurricanes. Grave here. The blue line. I look at what wins on the playoffs. I love that blue line, and they've got Svechnikov. Last year they didn't have a healthy Svechnikov. He's their best goal scorer. He's healthy. I think they're deep, and I think they're extremely well coached. And man, I just remember Brind'Amour after they lost that series. He couldn't speak. They dominated that series and lost. So I think it's their year. I love what they've done in the offseason. Brett Burns, Jacob Slavin. They brought in Orlov. Their blue line is outstanding. So I like Carolina to win. I thought it was a pick 'em in the West. I just went with Colorado. It very easily could be Dallas.
Yeah.
But I just picked Carolina. I'm a big Jared Bednar fan. I like what he does there.
It could be Dallas, Edmonton, or Vegas,
Right.
Like,
it could be. It's so good. And so I went with Carolina to win the Stanley Cup just because of I love their defense, and I think Rod Brind'Amour is a hell of a coach.
Freddie Anderson worries me.
Yeah. I used to be like that, guys, with you got to have a goalie. You got to get the goalie.
Yeah.
I'm looking like Vegas won with their third string guy last year.
Yeah.
Like that position has changed it for me. Like the goalie just has to play well at the right time. And Freddie Anderson's in the perfect market for him. Certain guys can't play in a Canadian market because it eats them up with all the pressure. He can leave the rink every day in Carolina and nobody knows who he is. So he can go home and recharge the batteries and get ready for the next game.
Yeah.
I just, before we go, I just need to read you, Bobby, some of the comments that are coming in on your picking.
He's getting slaughtered.
Am I?
Bobby, WTF, man. Wow, Bobby. Wow. Yuck, the Leafs in the Cup final. Bobby, the pitchforks are coming. You're on the Sens payroll, guy. Brutal pick, Bobby. What the hell, Bobby? It goes on and on. So cut this guy's audio. Yeah. So anyway, you get the,
all right. Well, yeah. I don't know who. I don't know who else. Yeah, Carolina. I struggled with the Devils too a little bit. But I think they won a round. I will say if they win the first round and they get Ottawa in the second round, by the time that third round starts, they might be dying because that's going to be a bloodbath that second round. So
the Leafs.
The Leafs. If the Leafs get to play the Sens, I'm just, you know what? They've lost so many times. They finally won a round. I think that they got a taste of it, and now they're going to understand how to have a little more success. ultimately they're going to fall short because Dallas is winning it all this year. So sorry, folks. My son was wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey because it was
you didn't have to mention that,
dude. But no. I came. Oh man, it was a power move by the ex-wife. I'm not even mad at it.
So she brought. Oh, I like it.
Well, yeah, and then she was like, it took everything for me to buy this because it was the only jersey that fit him. Because there's no hockey jerseys in Nashville. There's nowhere. It was a Played Again sports buy, and I had to get a Red Wings jersey sent down. But it killed me to see my son in that jersey. So I hate the Leafs too. I just think they're going to find a way this year.
What if they play Ottawa in the first round? Do they get by Ottawa, Bob?
Well, I had them getting by Ottawa in the second round, but yeah, I do. I think there's a little more experience there.
Yeah, that's fair.
And in a series like that, you're going to need the experience more than you're going to need the run and gun and the the emotions. The experience is going to be a big one in that series.
Did you, because you never got the playoff feel of it, did you feel the sense of a Leaf Ottawa rivalry? Like Yorkie, you played, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh man, many times.
Yeah, but in the playoffs, you got to play one or two series.
We played Buffalo. We played Toronto twice, I believe, in the first round. Had Buffalo once, Toronto twice. Maybe even 3 times.
So
no, I never got that.
Wally, I've never missed the playoffs as a Sen, by the way.
Well, that's because you guys were good, just couldn't win when it mattered.
Yeah, playoffs, different story.
And that, you know what? That's like Carolina to me. Is that everybody? I remember every year, early 2000s, people kept saying, "This is Ottawa's year. This is Ottawa's year. This is," and something would always happen, and then eventually the window closes and you're done.
Yep, I would agree.
So Yorkie, would you be pumped to see a Leaf Sens playoff matchup?
Be amazing. It would be unbelievable because the city just transforms. It goes to a whole other level. Like it's complete chaos. Like I'll tell you a funny story. When we played them in the playoffs, one of my buddies, called him the Duke, big tall guy, 6'5". He's sitting in the front row at a playoff game. There's somebody waving a Leaf flag in his face. He grabbed the flag, broke it in half, and mimicked that he was wiping his ass with the flag. The Leaf fan goes nuts. They get into it. The security guard comes down, removes the Leaf fan out of the building. So
that's amazing.
There's just shit like that going on. But I think it would be great. And if Ottawa could do it and win it, that would be, especially in this with the Andlauer era here, it'd be amazing for the city. It would be a huge hurdle and it'd be awesome. I'd love to see it.
You played twice.
Yeah.
2000, 2001.
Yeah, that 0-1 series was costly for the old career. Not great timing. Free agent got swept in 4.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Well, you guys scored in 4 games, 3 goals.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it for you.
Yeah, like Patrick Lalime had an amazing goals against average and save percentage in the postseason. Yeah. And you guys just never wanted to score any goals.
We had Thurston Howell playing for us that year. Tommy Brasso.
Oh, yes. Oh, Tommy. Thurston. All right, boys. Listen, for those who don't know, we are back tomorrow, 9 a.m. with Jamie McLennan. Also, we are doing a preview show on Wednesday at 6, an hour before puck drop. We're going to do a Sens home season opener show, and then we're back Thursday morning for another show this week. Busy week for us as we continue on the show here, and a lot more sponsors coming on board this week as well. So exciting times for the old show. Boys, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody who tuned in. We appreciate it, and we will see you tomorrow.
Coming in Hot is brought to you by Botano.ca. Please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to never miss an episode.